Hey, Hickok 45 here. We're going to take a look today at the M&P Shield 9mm and the XDS in 9mm. A couple of very popular pistols these days. A lot of people are interested in them, and especially me. Hey, that one works. Let's check out the XDS. That one works too. Yes, the Shield and the XDS, a couple of pistols that a lot of people are looking for to buy. They're looking for information on them, and a lot of people are carrying them already, of course, because the manufacturers are making both of these as fast as they can, because people are buying them as fast as they can. So a lot of questions about both these firearms at the YouTube channel. Here you are right now. Brilliant, aren't I? And so we wanted to do a comparison. I happen to have both of them in hand. T&E gun, the XD9, the XDS9 from Springfield, I still have. And then I borrowed again the Shield from the fellow who lent it to us before. This is the same one we have a video on. So we have videos on both of these firearms. So if I forget to mention any of the basics about the firearms, hopefully that's in those videos. So check those out. What we're going to do today is compare them mostly. All right? So let's get about doing that. All right. Now, bottom line is, I will say, I've shot both of them. Either one will do. There is not a lot of difference. There really is not. If you had to do the old eeny, meeny, miny, mo trick because you could not decide between the two, you really would not go wrong with either one. And I'm not just saying that. Well, yeah, I am. I did say it, didn't I? So I guess I am saying that. Actually, I like them both. And on a good day, I shoot both of them, I think, pretty well. They both feel good in the hand. They both ride well in a holster or even in the pocket. A little bit of a stretch maybe, but they both can be carried either way. You notice they both have Talon grips on them. Other than that, you know, and a little painting on the one that is owned by a fellow here in Murfreesboro. But other than the Talon grips, they're stock, and they're both very simple to break down. You know, a little slide back, that down. On this one, you don't have to pull the trigger. You flip that little thing. But you know, they're what you'd expect. You know, on the inside, your typical modern polymer pistols. Both reliable so far. Now this one I shot. I don't remember any problems with it, and the videos we did with it. And then the owner has shot it hundreds of times, and he indicates he's not had any trouble at all. Not one bobble. Put that up on the XDS. Little slide off. You know, there's just nothing complicated about them. They both are easy to field strip and clean. There you go with that. Now they're essentially the same size when you get right down to it. Let's get over here and show you. They're essentially the same size. If you stack them here, you just don't see much difference, do you? Look at that. I did notice the XDS, get the right mag and the right one here. Oh, wrong one. I think one of them is just a hair longer. The Shield, just a hair, not enough to mount anything you see there. Okay, not much on the grip, and in length of slide, you know, they're just basically the same profile firearm. In fact, they both essentially will fit in the same holster, and I have the holster on here now. This is what a hidden hybrid. I think it's the only one I have like this for the XDS. That fits, of course, like a glove because it was made for the XDS. Hidden hybrid holsters. And I pull it out and I put the Shield in. Now the Shield does not fit perfectly because of the trigger guard, but as far as thickness and everything, it would fit fine. Okay, so they're both essentially the same. It just needs a little more depth to it to accommodate the trigger guard. You're not talking about any difference probably, well, really in feel between the two because of thickness. They're about the same thickness. All right. We'll get into some more measurements on them. I'm going to get a little bit nerdy because I know a lot of people are trying to decide between these two. And weight-wise, might be 2 ounces basically difference. Okay, there's a couple ounces difference. Let's go ahead and put them on the scale. So you know I didn't make that up, right? Of course, one of them might have gotten heavier since I weighed them, but they're about 2 ounces different. There's the XDS. 1 ounce, 6 5/8 ounces. Let's do it again. Yep, I believe that's the same thing I was getting. Okay, 1.658. Here we got the shield, 1.458. 1.458. Okay, so essentially a couple of ounces lighter on the shield. John and I have figured out the difference is kind of the scallop here on the slide where they've scalloped out that top. That's about the difference because all other measurements are about the same. The slides are a little bit different in the front. There's the XDS. Now, you know, as usual, the old redneck method here, I just kind of don't even look at the numbers. I just compare the looks, the size. See, the shield slide is thinner there towards the front. Okay, now when you get down here into the frame, you know, the actual thickness of the firearm and how it's going to feel in the holster, you know, it's the same. Okay, the same. A little bit more metal in the, especially the front part of the slide of the XDS. But as far as overall thickness, you're not going to notice any difference. Okay. Now let me show you another measurement here while I'm being nerdy that makes the reason the shield will not fit in the XDS holster. If you measure from top of the slide to the bottom of the trigger guard, there's what you get. I'm going to put that on the XDS. You see the difference? See the extra space there? So that's quite a bit. Now that doesn't really matter. I mean, it just means the trigger guard's a little bigger, essentially, on the, you know, on the shield, and you just need a holster that fits it. Okay, I think the distance right here we discovered was a little different. About the same. It was inside. That's right. It's inside the trigger guard. There we go. Top of slide to the bottom of it there in the trigger guard. It's a little wider in the shield. Okay, so the shield, that part of the gun is a little thicker. Okay, but it's if anything, it's thinner. It's about the same thickness. So that's why it will not fit in this holster. It's not a thickness issue. It's just a trigger guard issue is all it is. That comes down a little bit further on the firearm. All right. So you could even maybe modify a holster. I don't know. It's a shame there's just that little bit of difference. Otherwise, you could just put them in the same holster probably. Okay. Let's take a couple more shots here before we get too nerdy. I think I have some more magazines. Yes. Let me just take a few shots across the hill with them both and really mix myself up and see how they feel. I'm going to shoot the. I've done some of this. I have some opinions, kinda, on which I would prefer, maybe if I had to choose. And I think they hit at a little bit different point of aim, but they both shoot well. Let's try the gong with the XDS. Okay, I'll try a pig. All right, good little shooter, I have to say. And as I recall, now I may not shoot it well today, but as I recall in the video that we did with this gun right here, the shield, I think I shot it pretty well. So if switching back and forth messes me up, have patience, have pity, feel sorry for me. Let's try, well, let's go with the gong. Okay. There we go. They're both gong worthy, put it that way. I think I have to hold a little bit differently with this one. Let me put another mag in it. Have more magazines for the shield. The owner has 5 magazines for it. There we go. Let's try a turkey. Get a better idea where to hold in the dirt. This little gun shoots fine. Long range, of course, is not a good test for either one of them, but I'm gonna mix up my magazines. All right, a couple other things. They both come with 7-round mags. Okay, there's a 7-round magazine. Here's a 7-round magazine for the shield. The shield uses kind of a staggered magazine, so a little thicker. Doesn't really matter. The grip is no thicker than the XDS, where this is more of a single stack. They both hold 7. And then there is the magazine available for the M&P that holds 8. Okay, same type of magazine. When you put it in, that one's loaded, but you get a little bit of an extension there, you know, on your grip. So you could carry 8 plus 1 like that if you want to. Okay. Now with the XDS, you have a similar situation. You have a magazine that holds, where is it? Oh, it's in my pouch. That holds 9. Okay, actually holds 9. And you get a little bit more of extension there. So you do have that available. Now when I carry this, and I did carry the 45 last summer, as I told you, and in the pocket carry quite a bit. I just take this sleeve off. I don't care about these. This is my backup magazine. So if I'm carrying this firearm, this is the one that I'm going to have the 9-rounder, you know, in my off pocket or a pouch, and then I'll have the 7-round, you know, in it. Okay, and I would do the same with the shield. I don't know if that comes off. Does it? I forgot. Yeah, that comes off too. So you got an 8-round magazine there. Same situation, just 1 round less on the extended magazine, but capacity essentially the same. They're 7-round guns. Is really what they are, and they are not 15-round guns. You know, there's no, you can't cheat physics. You know, in order to have a thin firearm, a small firearm, you have to give up something. And I brought my Glock 19 out here just to, again, to remind you, why are these guns popular? What is it about them that people like so much? It is the reduced weight and the thinness of them. Here's the pocket holster for the XDS, for example. You know, it fits like a glove. You know, this just fits wonderful. And that's the Alabama pocket holster that I like. And again, to show you the similarities, the shield would fit in there fine too, but the trigger guard begins to hang up. It's just a little bit lower there, you know. So that's the only problem with it. You could force it in there. So you know, it fits tight. So the guns are essentially the same size. You can see you could carry that in your pocket. You know, just like the XDS if you wanted to. The holster's designed to hook right there. You know, you got that. Okay, so they're the same size essentially. Now what I was going to show you is, you think a Glock 19 is not very big either, but you notice, see, it does not fit in that holster. You have to pry that apart, see, wedge it apart. See, it's just it's a wider gun than those 2 firearms. Okay, so it's very tight, you know. Okay, so that's the attraction. Now I am majoring in minors here. I mean, that's what we're about here, because these guns are so similar, and we are pointing out things that normally wouldn't make that big a deal if, say, the United States military is trying to decide on a firearm, outside, you know, built firearm for their military. Well, what's an ounce or two? You know, the size differences I'm talking about, they're relevant, right? I mean, it's always nice to have a small package if you can, but with this, once you're talking about a firearm this size, it could even be used as a pocket firearm, and you want a thin, small firearm because you're giving up those 15 rounds of 9mm that you would get in a Glock 19. You're going to give all that up, then you want as small shootable package as you can find, one that works well. Okay. Now we're getting some sun over here, but that's okay. Both of these firearms, you notice, have 3-dot sight systems. Okay. The XDS on the right there has, of course, the fiber optic, which is nice. That picks up very, very, very quickly. I do like that. You have chamber indicators on both these. You know, you've seen that in other videos. You got the hole in the shield. You've got the little bar that rises there when there's a round in the chamber of the XDS. You do have ambi mag release on the XDS. You know, on both sides. Don't have that on the shield. You got a rail on the XDS. Hang your big toaster on there, whatever you like. And then you've got your grip safety, of course, on your XDS. A lot of people don't like that. You don't have that on the shield, you know, but you do have the thumb safety there, should you want to use it. So I don't know, it kind of depends on the user, the shooter, whether or not you engage that thumb safety or not. Okay, depending on how you're carrying it. Not something you have to use, but there it is, kind of like a 1911. Okay, added safety. Striker fired, of course, both are striker fired firearms, and both have pretty nice triggers. The trigger pull and reset on both of them is good. It really is. I actually prefer the trigger just a little bit on the XDS. I like the trigger on the Shield. If you recall, I bragged on it a lot, this particular gun, when I did the first video with this gun. And if I were comparing the Shield here with my other XDS, the 45, I'd be trashing the XDS, because my XDS 45 does not have nearly as nice a trigger as this one does. This 9mm, I don't know if they changed it on all of them. You might comment on that if you have an XD9 or an XD in the 45. I mean, it's okay, nothing to complain too much about, but compared with this one, this is a really nice crisp trigger. Okay, it's more like the Shield. In fact, I think it's better than the Shield trigger. Now that again though, that comes down to individual guns. I don't know if these are like Glocks used to be. It used to be with Glocks, you could get a mushy trigger, boy, back in the 80s and early 90s especially. And I would never buy one unless I actually tested the trigger. If the shop wouldn't let me pull the trigger, fine, bye-bye. You know, I'm not buying from you then. But it could be that all of them are like this now, and hopefully they are. So, nice trigger system, I'll have to say, on both of these firearms. Let's take a couple more shots, because we have some more ammo. Let's try these long magazines, make sure they work. This is the XDS 9-round magazine. I'm not going to put the sleeve on it. You know that works with the sleeve, but it ought to work without it. You wouldn't want to maybe put a lot of pressure on it, which I don't anyway. I use a 2-finger grip on about any pistol I'm shooting. You know what? We've got some 2-liters that have been surviving for some reason way too long. Yeah. I'll save one for the Shield there. Tell you what, that's a good shooting little gun. Let's see, we have let's use the extended magazine for this gun, make sure it works. The Shield. I'll put him in the holster here. All right. Hey, that works too. Works just fine. We have any more? Yeah, we have another magazine loaded. Oh yeah, the owner has 2 of these long magazines, 8-round magazines. Let me go back across at the gong. I think I didn't give a fair representation shooting at the gong with the Shield, because I mean, I know I can hit it. Yeah, okay. Wouldn't want you to think one of these was not gong worthy. Okay, so they both shoot well. They're both great shooters. I tell you, it really comes down to, for me, I have no problem with a 9mm at all. I lean towards this baby here in a 9mm, you know, the old Glock 19, like a few million other people, right? But if you can get over the idea of the capacity, these things are awfully nice because they're small. For you all who don't know either one of these and why I'm making a big deal out of either one of these firearms, why would you not just carry a Glock? Again, as I pointed out before, a holster with one of these in it, that little bit of thickness difference is wonderful, okay? And it's something you can't really fully appreciate unless you've tried it, but it just makes a smaller package lighter. Now, like I say, the Shield is lighter, 2 ounces, so that's something to think about too. Let's load a couple more shots here. I'm going to use the loader. You don't really have to have it, but it does make it easier. I notice, especially on the Shield magazines, they're pretty stiff to load. Oops, we'll get that guy later. Yeah. This is what we're shooting. You see all the boxes there, American Eagle 9mm, which is like gold. I actually found a whole case of it. Mortgaged the house and bought it. And it wasn't that bad. But you know how it is these days, though. 115 grain is what I'm shooting. Full metal jacket. Isn't that a nice basket full of that stuff? I like to have about 20 baskets of it. Yeah. So, boy, I tell you, I know why if you're trying to decide between these 2 firearms, I understand the difficulty, because there's just not a lot of difference. We pretty much pointed out the biggest differences. 2 ounces Same thickness, same length in almost every way. I think the XDS is 3.3 inches long, right? I think this is 3.1 or something, but there's just not much difference. I will say the slide on the, or the grip on the Shield, it's really the same thickness overall, but towards the front of the grip, I did some measuring, and it's not quite as thick as the grip on the XDS, and it feels a little too thin to me. And when I compare them both, this one feels a little bit better. But you can feel, that's one thing you can do in a gun shop. You can get a good feel for it, can't you, how it feels in your hand, and there's just not a lot of difference. And both seem reliable, and both shoot well. Sometimes it comes down to the gun company. Sometimes people just prefer, you know, Smith & Wesson, or they prefer Springfield, or they prefer Colt, or whoever it might be. But it'd be a tough decision, I think, for most people between these two firearms. It could be the grip safety that you just hate. It could be the thumb safety some people hate. I don't have a big problem with really with either one on these firearms. I can live with it. I can definitely live with either one. They both feel good. I will say I lean between these two guns. I could go with either one. I had to lean towards the Springfield. It feels just a little bit better in my hand, and I even like the trigger on this one better. Like I say, if it had the trigger of the XDS 45, I would definitely not say that. But I do lean towards this one. It feels better to me, just a little bit, and it is. I don't know. The trigger is actually a little bit better. So, but I could live with either one. What I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to draw and take some shots. Pretend I'm in combat mode with each one. Let's do the XDS first. Now, if you can tell anything about it, more power to you. I'm just going to go down here and take some shots. Okay. Reload, empty them. Let's shoot them all. Feels pretty good. Let's do that with the Shield. See if I can hit anything. Okay. Sound like a pretty good idea. Okay, we've got our mags and got the Shield ready to go, so let's take some last shots with it too. And I almost forgot that guy right there. Don't get me. Oh, and those pots. Oh, fun, fun, fun. A little Shield action. Got to hold up a little bit with this one, remember. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Okay, so that's too much fun with the Shield and the XDS. So, oh boy, tough decision. Again, the Shield runs around $450 whenever I see it in terms of money and dollars. The XDS, I think, generally runs about $50 more than that, just depending, maybe 75, just depends. Right now it's new, harder to find maybe even than the Shield, don't know. So we're in a crazy period right here, of course, summer of 2013, and availability of everything is still a little bit taxed, but you know, stressed, I should say, taxed too, right? But it's, so, you know, pricing, I think the XDS generally runs a little more, not a great deal more. I think we pointed out all the key differences, the similarities. Like I said, one of the things I noticed with my large hands is the grip on the Shield being thinner toward the front. Now, if you put the calipers on it and measure, you know, the thickest point on it, you'll get basically the same, you know, as with the XDS. However, I noticed I couldn't figure out why that was feeling so thin to me, but in the front of the XDS, you know, we've got, say that's the thickness, okay? And in the front part of the shield grip, you see there's it's a good bit that's thinner, okay? So that's why that feels so thin to me. It's the front part of it, and you get a thinness there, just as you get a thinness, a little more, a thinner slide towards the front, all right? Yeah, again, I'm a little bit biased because of my large hands. It could be for you that this feels a lot better, the shield, because it is a little thinner in the grip and in the front part of the grip. The front part, I like the front part of the grip on the XDS better. Again, it could be just because of my large hands, don't know. All right, I can live with either one of these. Like I said, the XDS wins out a little bit by a slim margin on these two guns for me. If this XDS, again, had the same trigger as my 45 XDS, this would be the winner, okay? But I don't have that negative feature, characteristic of the 9mm. This trigger is wonderful on this gun. It really is. I hope they're all like that. A great trigger, and it shoots well. I think I actually shoot the XDS a little bit better. One thing I do like too, I like that fiber optic in the front on that. But either one of them, you can't go wrong. You know, so hopefully that helps you a little bit. You know, I know it'd be maybe helpful to some people if I would totally trash one of them, but there's really nothing to trash. There's just maybe a slight preference for me, and you might have a slight preference yourself one way or the other. They both shoot great. Either one make a great choice for any of you, really. There's nothing to hate about either one of these guns, either one of these fine pistols. Life is good.